Hey guys, what's going on? Vicarious Brian here, and we are back with another episode of Let's Play Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. So, if I remember correctly, we are currently going into a new area, an underground stage. I think it's like a cellar, something like that. Having a little trouble remembering exactly what it is, but just turning my volume down there. So, we're going to be going underground. And I actually have a few things to talk about. I'm pretty excited at the moment because I just probably, I don't know, 20 minutes ago made the realization that PAX East is coming to Boston this year. And I live pretty close to there, so I'm probably going to be going. And I've always wanted to go to something like PAX, like a gaming-related conference, or really any sort of social gathering. But we'll hold off on that. This is Yoko Belnades, who's a member of the church, and she mentions how we've already met Genya Arikado. Some of you guys who know the Castlevania sort of series probably have figured out what's going on at this point. Last few episodes, I actually did a lot of sort of, not plot analysis, but I read out some of the parts and kept you guys updated. I'm probably going to step away from that a little bit moving forward because, I mean, this game, yeah, it's got a decent plot, sort of interesting, but that's not really the main factor of what makes this such a great game. It's the gameplay, so I'm going to be stepping away from the plot analysis for the most part. But if I remember correctly, what Yoko's generally saying is that Soma should be careful, but also be confident in his ability to control these souls and these spirits. And now she's talking about Graham and how we should just be careful of Graham. Might not be that great of a guy. So anyway, back to what I was saying about gaming related conferences. I remember being a kid and going with my father and my grandfather to all these car shows and hot rod conferences and things like that, and thinking, wow, these are terrible and not fun at all. But if I was into cars and things, I can see why someone would enjoy this. So it's pretty great that, now we have in the area something gaming related, a conference that's gaming related. It's, something I'm definitely into, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. I haven't necessarily decided that I'll be going for sure yet, but it's definitely on my mind for sure. If you guys are thinking about going to either PAX East in Boston or any of the other PAX or related events or anything like that, let me know. I'd be interested to see what you guys' thoughts are or your experiences if you've been in the past. Because like I said, just found out about it, pretty excited. So, we'll have to look out for that. Apparently it's in March. I believe it's March 22nd through the 24th. Unfortunately, Saturday, I believe, is already sold out, which I would assume to be the big day, the day with the most important stuff going on. You'll notice that was a neat little trick I just pulled there with the backstep soul or whatever it's called. I can't care to remember, I guess, or check. Where was I? Talking about PAX, I guess. So it's Saturday's already sold out. I'm thinking if I do go, it'll probably be Friday, but depending on when they get the schedule out, I might change to Sunday. If I did Friday, I would have to skip class, which I'm not too worried about, to be honest, but it'd be nice if I didn't have to do that. But, you gotta do what you gotta do. I've always had a pretty open policy on skipping classes and things. I mean, class is great, but for the most part, the things that we do in our lives are much more informative than any class could be. But I mean, that's my opinion. Do what works for you. Alright, so we have our first boss coming up here. If I remember, it's the wood golem, or maybe... Oh, okay, so we have the great armor. This is going to be a pretty standard enemy later on. Pretty easy boss. I might even argue that it's the easiest one that we've faced so far. You just have to play a little cautious, I guess, but for the most part, if you just back up, you'll be fine. It can be tough if he backs you into a corner, but as long as you can avoid that, you know, there's no reason you should have too much of a trouble. The whip sword also helps. It's a long range attack, so that's always good for this kind of guy who has that shield. So a lot of like short range attacks he'll just block outright, unfortunately, but you get the whip sword very soon before this guy, as you guys have seen. So but yeah, so it's actually funny because my birthday is right around that time as well, so maybe I can get someone else to front the cash for that, or I guess tickets are getting pretty low, so I'll probably just buy the tickets myself, but kind of interesting that it's happening right around my birthday. Kind of exciting. Alright, so here we meet this guy named Hammer. He's gonna essentially be our shopkeeper, so we can go back to him, buy different items. For the most part, you're gonna find better items during the castle, but once in a while, he's gonna have something in stock that's gonna be really helpful. Be it, you know, potions if you're having a hard time on a boss, or sometimes there are some solid items that he has. But, you know, for the most part, not that great. Although, in the late game, you can get an item, I think it's the Soul Eater Ring, makes souls a lot easier to drop. So that's pretty helpful if you're going for like a 100% run, which, you know, we might go for depending on you guys' interest. And here we have the Malthus soul, which is that that double jump that I was talking about. Really, such an interesting concept. I am actually thinking of doing some videos on different video game mechanics, just really going in depth about them. So I think I might talk about the double jump ability, because it's quite the interesting little conundrum that we have there. In the gamosphere, as I think I've nerdily said at one point or another. So I apologize for that in advance, but... Alright, so we're at a point here where, you know, I don't necessarily remember exactly where we're going, but as I've said before, Aria of Sorrow has very good pacing. It's pretty rare where you find yourself in a position that you don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know where to go right now, but without too much random wandering around, you should be able to find where you need to be. So definitely kudos, or whatever it is, to the developers there. Actually, I'm trying to remember the name of the guy. There's one guy in particular who's like the Castleroid or Metroidvania basically creator. I think he was like the main developer of, what was it, Symphony of Night, and I believe on Aria of Sorrow as well, but I am not sure. But I cannot remember his name, so we'll just say developer and leave it at that. Right now the plan, I believe, let's see, we'll check out this gray area not too far north of our position now, or I guess technically it's up, not north, but we'll check that out. I'm assuming that some of the areas there will be explorable by this new double jump, but if not, I think we'll go back to the main area where we started the game, and perhaps talk to Hammer, see if he has any interesting weapons or armor or anything for us at this stage. And of course now we can come back, and I think with the double jump ability we can get whatever is up here. I thought it was the whip sword earlier, but obviously we already have that, so we have the broadsword, which I believe is our first weapon, yeah, that isn't just a straightforward stabbing attack. We have sort of a slashing, a wider arc attack, which is good. I mean, it does more damage, so that's nice. We'll probably use that for a while. It's specifically good in situations like this. You can sort of jump up high and hit a bunch of the enemies at once, so that's pretty good. Unfortunately, the animation is a little longer, but, you know, it's a trade-off. It's definitely a trade-off. I don't think I prefer the stabbing or the slashing swords necessarily above one another. They each have their uses, which is good. Generally balanced, things like that. So, let's see. So I think that's all I had to say about PAX. I guess I could, I mean, at this point I could really just ramble on about it because I'm pretty pumped about the whole concept. But, you know, I'll try not to go on too much about it. But definitely, if you guys have been, or if you're planning on going, or anything like that, let me know. Because I've never been to a big conference or anything like that, but I'm definitely excited about going. The schedule, as I think I mentioned before, isn't out yet, which is unfortunate, but I was looking over some of the past PAX East schedules, and it looked like there was some pretty cool stuff going on. In particular, like, what do you call them? Forums, I guess you'd call them, on, you know, the video game review process, things like that. So not even necessarily just a chance for developers to strut their stuff, but, you know, some deeper conversations about games as well, which seems like it's pretty awesome. I'm actually in the process of hopefully talking a buddy of mine into going with me as well, because, you know, be nice to go along with someone I was familiar with. But we'll see. And I'm actually playing kind of sloppy at this point. I think I need to step it up a bit. But there we go, we have a level up, which interestingly doesn't increase our health and our, what do they call it? Our MP. I thought it did, but apparently I was wrong. Either way, not too much of a deal. A big deal. I don't think we're in any chance of dying or anything. I'm assuming we have some potions and whatnot, so we'll get by. And I've been playing sort of sloppy, but, you know, I've always noticed in games, like, once you are, you know, low on health and you need to get back to that save point or whatever, generally, you know, clutch mode gamers, they're pretty solid. So we have here our first warp room, and fortunately it'll warp us back to the first warp room without us have even seen it. Usually you'd have to find a warp room before you can warp there, but we can actually just zip back to the beginning of the game free of charge, which is extremely helpful because it hasn't really been a bother yet, but there can be some issues as far as backtracking, where Soma's very slow walk speed makes things a little bit more difficult than they have to be. And as you guys can see, we're already starting to realize that this double jump ability, and basically all the abilities you get, they really flesh out the game. Like, it's amazing how the game design works. I'm definitely a big fan of this style where every new ability you get, you'll just find all these little nooks and crannies. Also, you notice that I use this lucky charm, even though it lowered my defense compared to the scarf. That's just to bring up the luck. It makes souls easier to get. It's a minor thing, but if it's the difference between getting a clutch soul and not getting it, I figure might as well. I don't have too low of defense. It's something that I can work with. Okay, so Hammer apparently has this thing for Yoko. Yada yada. Here we have our items. So I'm actually going to buy the castle map too. I don't need it. I know the layout of the castle for the most part, but sometimes it's nice just to have the gray areas already filled out for you. And the general thought here is that as you get lower, obviously there are stronger weapons. So we're going to scroll right to the bottom. There's the katana, which I could probably buy if I sold a few things. I'm not sure if I necessarily need it yet. The war fatigues would be nice though, increasing strength and defense. That's a pretty good trade. So we're gonna see what we can sell. I generally sell the more basic items, but interesting things like the whip sword I'll hang on to. So we're gonna make a few key sales here just to get some cash flowing. Unfortunately, it doesn't really notice a difference between your equipped items and your non-equipped, so I have to be careful not to sell these. You can attack enemies with your fists, but I would not say that that was a effective way of playing. Alright, and we actually might have enough money for the war fatigues. Yeah, in addition to the katana, so we're going to pick up one of each of those and equip them. The katana, I believe, is another one of those broadsword type weapons. Yeah, so a slashing weapon as opposed to stabbing. And in addition, wow, that actually does a lot more damage, jeez. And you'll see that this area has been shown us because we bought that map earlier. And I believe this is also the next area that we need to go to. We could go back and backtrack, find some little Easter eggy things if we wanted to. I'm probably not gonna. We'll end up exploring most of the game by the end of it, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to, you know, look at every little thing there is to do right after I get the soul. Natural backtracking will take care of most of that. And then, you know, if you guys are interested in a 100% run, we'll obviously go back then. So, but I think this is a good place to stop here. We fought our boss during this episode, talked about packs a little bit, and next episode we'll be moving on to the next area. So I hope you guys had a good time. Like always, if you have any comments, questions, or anything like that, feel free to PM me or leave a comment in the section below. And as always, have a wonderful day.